here's something that you didn't know. 2 of those special atomic bombs haven't gone off.
Okay. All right. Any of our loyal viewers, welcome back to fantaCTE, where you can get subpar fantasy football advice for free. My name is Nick Masick. I'll be your host. Your co-hosts, as always, most of the time, are on the bottom right-hand corner. We've got Lonnie Cox, big bushy beard, and his New York. You're going to hear about the New York thing. Bottom left, we've got Vital DeJuiced. And one of our regular guests on the show, we're bringing back for the 3rd or 4th time this year. I'm not sure how many. Steve Lamb, upper left-hand corner. Welcome back, Steve Lamb. Thank you for joining the show. Steve being one of the top teams, one of the top 2 teams in the Dick Pick 6 Fantasy Football League, which we are all in, which is a bunch of comedians playing fantasy football together. So we got to talk about our league. Oh, by the way, before I get into anything else, if you guys are watching live, first of all, thank you very much. We appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully we'll be able to give you some good advice. If you have any questions, feel free to write in, make comments. I can view the comment section so I can see anything you guys write into the show. Feel free to say hi, make fun of us, poke fun at anything that you see or feel like. And then also just feel free to ask us for any fantasy football advice. We'll do our best to steer you in the wrong direction. All right. Well, let's get into this. What should we start with first? Let's talk about league stuff. How about we start with the league? What is actually happening in our league? Steve, since you're the guest of honor, you had a pretty good week. You had a solid week. It's not official, right? But it's almost official. I think it's pretty well wrapped up. Tell us what happened this week for you, Steve.
This week, I thought, let's go back to what I thought I did, which was a good move. Swift was going to be out. I have Swift as one of my running backs. So I picked up Peterson because in case he got put out. It happened, but then Peterson came in and scored a whopping 1.8 points for me. Because the Lions, and when I looked, and Stafford had like 2 points. I don't know what happened. I didn't see the game, but oh my God. So my biggest thing was I was going against Cam. Cam being one of the top tier guys so far in our league. Mm-hmm. And I beat him last time, which was a couple weeks ago. And I was just worried about it. And then I'm watching the games and I see what I picked up. I picked up Cleveland's defense. They scored 20 points. Happy birthday. What the heck's there? Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's working well. When I make changes, those guys don't get points, but I have Adams, Johnson, Waller, and Andrews, and they all get 20 plus every game, pretty much. It feels that way. So I don't know a lot, but I am starting to know more as the league goes on, and I'm picking up on, I think Peterson picking up was a smart thing. It just didn't work out in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. Because
that probably backfired on a couple people this week who thought that was going to be a savvy move and just didn't work out for them. Fortunately, your team is loaded enough, Steve, that it didn't matter at all. You're going into tonight and what? I think you need.
I have 25 points. I'm like 25 points ahead of Cam, and he's got a kicker and a defense tonight, and I have Brady. Yeah. And his kicker and defense are both Tampa Bay, and I have Brady, who's
So by virtue of the fact that you already beat Cam once this year, even though he's got significantly more points than you, our league does our first tiebreaker is head-to-head matchup, which I'm a proponent of. I think for all leagues, I think it's more fun. I think it makes it more. You create more rivalries. You care more about because if you had you and Cam. If you had split, I guess he would have had the tiebreaker because of the point total, because it's a second tiebreaker. But you beat him twice. So regardless of the fact that he has scored much more points, a lot more points than you this year, you've got the inside track for the first round bye now, along with Lonnie. Lonnie, I think you're also looking pretty solid at locking up that first round bye as well, aren't you?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've been in first place most of the season. So unless, how many games do we have left?
2 more weeks of regular season fantasy.
2 more weeks. I think I play Steve and I play either Cam or no. Do you guys know who I play?
I have Vital and
Jay.
I play you on. Yeah, I have you two. I have Steven.
You've got the 2 top teams, yeah.
Yeah.
And that actually could help me. So the real drama in our league, the fact that going into it, like barring anything crazy happening tonight, like I'm also projected to win by a lot. 29 points ahead. I'm breaking my 5-game losing streak, which is really nice. It feels very good.
Same.
Yep. So I'm going into tonight. I think if everything pans out, nothing crazy happens. I mean, really crazy happens. We're going to end up with 5 teams. 5 out of the 10 teams in our league are going to be 4-7. So yeah, like Lonnie said last week, basically the NFC East is what the bottom we are. But that means at least one of those, and we also will have a 5-6 team as well. So one of those teams is going to make the play. One of the 4-7 teams is going to make the playoffs, and there's going to be at least one team, probably I think that's a 5-win team that makes the playoffs. And not necessarily, but we're probably going to have another 5-8 team sneak in at the 6th seed. As it stands right now, Vital, you have the tiebreaker over all of the bottom teams.
Yeah, I'm good at beating trash, bro.
Yeah. I have the tiebreaker over every bottom team except for your team. So pretty much what I need to have happen is I need to win at least 1 more and you need to lose 2, or I need to win 2 and you need to lose 1 in order.
Lonnie and Steve, what's up, man? Just let me have this one. Come on.
Don't tank for
so far up.
Don't give it to him. Make him work for it.
I've never done
Let's put it this way. I'd much rather lose this week than lose in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, but me and Vital, it's a toss-up. Like our teams are both playing pretty well. Like I don't know. It's a hard decision.
Yeah, dude, Michael Thomas back is such a big help, and it's 20 points guaranteed. I love it.
I need to get some of my guys back. I got Adam Thielen had a huge week for me again.
Ooh.
I almost pulled off that win last week. I said I needed 2 touchdowns.
You were close. You were really close.
I got 2 touchdowns. I just didn't get the yardage and the catches that I got this week. So if I could have, flip-flop, but he's been balling out. But he just went on the COVID list. We're going to talk about the COVID list. It's like a whole
I can't believe how close our league is this season, though.
Dude, it's great. It's really good for the league. I mean, like having that kind of parity. But I feel like that's just what you have when you have a last place penalty. Nobody's quitting. Nobody's giving up. Everybody's fighting. That bottom 5, like everyone is scrapping as hard, like making moves last minute. I pulled in what's his name? Damian Harris last minute and put him in my lineup, and he gave me a 12-point game. So
nice.
Yeah, it was, I've been trying to make moves every single week because also
it's surprising to pick up anyone that'll actually give you double digits right now. Like you're really just hoping.
And I was surprised, but I was toss up. It was a toss up because there's three Patriot running backs, and I think all 3 of them scored double digits this week.
Yeah.
So that's it used to be you couldn't trust the Patriots backfield. Now you can trust them, I feel like, but not to give you a huge amount of points, but to give you some points, and that was what I was looking.
Didn't they have a guy who was in the 20s this week? Like,
no, unless it was Burkhead, but I don't think Burkhead had that big of a week. But Harris scored 12, and I think James White scored 15. So they're giving everybody work. They're all getting some play and some action, and they were all pretty good pickups if you used them this week off your waivers. All right, so we got to address one of the most contentious things that's happened all season in fantasy, as far as I can even remember in fantasy.
Every league, bro. All my leagues are blowing up about it.
Taysom Hill. Lonnie, talk to me, because you almost fell victim to this.
Almost. I left Deshaun Watson on my bench. I've been like every week, basically, I'm having to decide between Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson. And I feel like almost every week I've chosen wrong, So Lamar Jackson's probably the biggest disappointment in fantasy football this year.
Yep.
He's averaging, I think, like 16, 17 points a game as opposed to like 31 last season. I went up high and got him in the 2nd round.
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun Watson, he's playing in like big shootout games. He scored like 36. I left him on my bench. I am going to end up winning by about 25 points. So, it didn't really end up hurting me in the end, but Taysom Hill had 26 and Jay Guy had him at the tight end spot. So very savvy move. Definitely like almost pissed me off real bad. But
I didn't realize that was happening. I would have probably nixed that before.
I saw the article. ESPN put out a little disclosure about it. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
wow.
why everyone picked him up. They put it, the app notified you. It's like, oh, Taysom Hill's going to be available and you can play him at tight end because that's what the system designated him at tight end on Wednesday. And then they said on Thursday he was QB.
Yeah. Fuck that, by the way.
Hey, man, I'm just letting you know, ESPN approved it.
No, you're right. Yeah, and the thing is, ESPN did it, but I'm in one of my leagues is a different app, and they didn't allow that. He was a QB. He was designated as a quarterback. As soon as he's named the starting quarterback, he should no longer be eligible for tight end.
Sure. Yeah, that's not fair.
I guess, but then you got to think about people who use their waiver pick for him. Like if you use your waiver pick for him as a tight end, and then he's playing,
then you can play him as a tight end. No, you can't play him as a fuck that. No, you're right. That is tricky.
I think that's why that's the only reason ESPN. Because if they would have designated it sooner, like I see both sides of the argument. I think it's bullshit, but it also sucks if you was designated sooner. But 90% of people actually picked him up after they got the article. Like so, it's like. Get the fuck out of here.
That is so. In one of my other leagues, one of the leagues that is the other ESPN league, it was the commissioner of the league that played him at tight end.
You see, he got notified,
and he won. And it was like this. There's a lot of people that were really, and he's the guy who gets called out for, collusion every year. Like he's always doing really shady behind the scenes shit. So I'm just glad that in our league, it didn't affect the outcome of the game. And now going forward, because this has never happened before, like when has there ever been a Taysom Hill situation?
No.
And in my opinion, it's just another reason not to like Taysom Hill. He's just
he did great though.
He did great. On the field, man. Did you guys watch that game? Anybody?
Yeah.
No, I didn't end up watching it, but there's a reason that they paid him the amount of money that they paid him. I mean, this is what they got him for, right? It's like they knew that he was probably going to be the guy after Drew Brees. Like I think that they're grooming him to take over the team pretty soon.
Definitely.
So
it sure looks that way. I didn't think that was when they picked up Winston. I thought that was maybe they were going to go that direction, but he seems more like an insurance policy right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure Winston. If he showed anything in practice, but they say he's one of those guys. You got to get his head on right.
Yeah. He needs to mature. And maybe they're just kind of giving him a chance to sort of prove himself in the league again, sort of he
had a great season last year, yards and TDs.
He had a great fantasy season. Winston is always a fantasy. Like I picked him up because when I thought he was going to play, I was like, I'm playing Winston. I needed a sub for Josh Allen in one of my leagues. I was like, Jameis Winston, he scores 30 every game. 4 touchdowns and 4 picks. I don't care. I'll take it. Those are good odds.
That would have been a great game versus the Falcons. That's the exact kind of game you want to have.
40. Winston, once Winston gets another starting job again, I think he's going to be another fantasy relevant quarterback, if not a win-loss guy. He put over 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions last year. I don't know if it's ever been done before. Maybe Blake Bortles might have had.
I don't think it was done ever before. I think he broke that record.
It's so great. It's a fun guy to watch. Exciting games. All right. What else do we have? Tua. We've been talking about the Tua situations. Vital, you've got some serious feelings about this. What do you think?
Yeah, I know. I feel like we should have stopped the fucking Broncos. Like, I don't get it. But I don't think it was just Tua. I don't know. Maybe the Dolphins didn't prepare properly. The whole team seemed a little off. But as soon as Tua
Mile High, baby. That shit fucks with you. Mile High Stadium?
Yeah. The altitude.
But we play in a high humidity environment. Isn't that supposed to be comparable?
No
way in hell.
It's not even. Yeah, I mean, it is. Playing in Miami is also challenging for teams that aren't used to it.
Sure.
Heat and humidity will also mess with the team, especially early in the season. That's when Miami has their real advantage. But no, Mile High, altitude.
I mean, I was actually just in Denver, and I spoke to people who grew up in Florida and then have moved to Denver. And it says it takes them 6 weeks to even start to get acclimated. But even still, they'll be walking down the stairs or up the stairs and they'll still get out of breath years down the road. it's a very, very tough place to play.
Yeah.
Always is. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was it might have been Ryan Clark. Like there was a big name player who had sickle cell, and he couldn't play. He couldn't go to Denver.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great.
Yeah.
Just because of the lower oxygen.
Yeah, he just couldn't do it.
Sickle cell's a really serious disease. I'm surprised he was in the NFL. Like,
right.
Shit.
Yeah.
It might not have. I think it was Ryan Clark. It was somebody like that. It was a big name safety that couldn't go to Denver, and could never play.
Wow.
When
talk about it.
So that's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Pretty much any team that goes to Denver, they have a very, very unfair advantage.
Yeah.
It's
true.
And so, I don't know, maybe not reading too much into this because it's not like they played much better when Fitzpatrick came in. So I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, I think Denver's better than their record is a little bit. Drew Lock has been playing better. I know he had one bad game recently, but he's had 3 really pretty solid games. He wasn't great, but he was pretty good. Like he's kind of starting to click with that offense and those.
They also had a decent running attack yesterday.
Oh,
so
sure. Right. They had Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon both healthy, which hasn't happened a lot for them this year.
Sure.
So they're starting to get,
and they played well. Both of them have played pretty well, from the parts of the game that I was watching.
Yep.
Phillip Lindsay was sparky. He always does that. He can get the edge. He's fast.
Yeah.
And then Melvin Gordon also speed on the outside. And that creates a lot of problems for a team.
Yeah, they may be one of the best, if not the best 1-2 punch in the NFL right now. They're tough.
Sure.
When they're both healthy, they're tough to handle. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something. But Tua getting benched, that seemed weird. Everyone's talking like, how did you feel about that in general? Like, do you think it was 6-3? They're trying to make the playoffs. That's one side of it. Your young quarterback, you gave him, it was only 10 points. Like what? Why are you pulling him out?
We had talked when it happened, and Vitale said that he looked like he had a lower leg injury, but Brian Flores said that wasn't the case.
No.
Apparently, it had something to do with Fitzpatrick is better in the 2-minute offense.
Does make sense. But of course, he's better in the 2-minute offense. But that's not why you didn't go to Tua just because he's better than Fitzpatrick. You didn't go to Tua because he's better than Fitzpatrick at this point in his career.
Right.
But I guess
maybe that is their explanation. I feel like that is their thought process. It seems like the Dolphins want to win the AFC East this season.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think they can against Buffalo, and maybe that's the whole goal. Like they don't mind, and I don't think Tua has hard feelings about it either. So they wouldn't mind sitting him and let Ryan try to win it.
Yeah.
It is unusual though. It's unusual to see them pull a brand new starter who's hot.
Yeah.
For a situationally, that's weird.
Yeah.
It was very unusual, but also the situation is a very unusual situation. Ryan Fitzpatrick is this unusual situation of a quarterback in general. So yeah, maybe internally it doesn't look as weird as it does to all of us externally, I guess.
I don't know about that. That's the big question to me is I'm sure that pissed people off in the locker room. It's like you're gonna go behind this guy, then you stick with him. That's what you do. This isn't college. You know what I'm saying? You don't just rotate your quarterbacks depending on.
I think the team was happy to see Fitzpatrick for a couple plays. And I don't think there's a rift because even after all the Fitzpatrick drama, he came in the practice in some hot pink shorts. He was just chilling.
Yeah, but that's Fitzpatrick. That's not the 40 other guys on the team. You know what I mean?
But I think he sets the tones for how those guys receive his benching. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
If he's walking around scolding, they will too. But he's being really light about it.
He's being a leader.
Yeah.
He's handling it the way you want him to handle it, which is how he's always handled it. He's been in this position before.
Professional. Fitzpatrick is really the road professional.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to watch going forward and see how that happens, especially if they do make the playoffs. What happens when they're in a situation, if it's a situational football thing in the playoffs where it comes to winning a game? I remember years ago, and Lonnie, I'm sure you do too, Dak's first year as a starter, or when he took over when Romo got hurt, and Romo was finally healthy for their first round playoff game. And there were people I was one of the people, I was like, I think you play Romo in this situation because he's been there. Oh man. And they didn't. And the moment was too big for Dak at that time as a rookie. He wasn't as good as he is now. But I don't know. I felt like give it to Romo. I know Dak got you there, but Romo is your best chance to win in the playoffs. I felt that way 100%. And that team was loaded. So
Yeah.
I really
That
did.
was good. But I don't know. But wasn't that the year that Romo got hurt in the preseason? And like he was basically, that was it. He didn't play again after that.
No, he didn't play again after that at all. But he was healthy and could have played in that playoff game. He could have. He was 100%, and nobody really thought. They're like, no, we're going with whatever.
I don't think he
you
was actually
can play
100%,
him,
man. He
At
was
that
getting
point.
hurt on like every game. Like he would come back and he would get hurt.
No. You're thinking of a couple years before that. This was he got hurt, he went out, and
In against Seattle in the preseason.
was
He
it
like
preseason?
slipped and he hurt his disc.
Yeah, it was
Remember
something.
that?
But he could have played that game, and I think he was 100% ready to play because they talked about him playing the next year. Like he could have gone somewhere else and maybe gone to Houston or something. There was talk
I think they were talking about him coming to Cincinnati or here or Miami.
for Miami. I think,
But then he took that
Houston
huge
as well.
CBS contract.
Yeah.
Good for him.
That was a move.
I have
But
a question. What's the news on Dak?
he'll be back.
He'll be okay. Supposedly, he's got a very severe ankle injury. The prognosis is okay though. He's not like,
It's not career.
it's not a career ending, and it's also
Okay.
not a big career slump injury either. They're not necessarily like it is possible that he doesn't ever come back to form. But speaking of the prognosis is good on Dak. I think he's ahead of schedule in his rehab. But speaking of career slumping injuries, Joe Burrow had a very, very, I don't know if you guys saw today what happened, the injury report, ACL, MCL, and other ligament damage.
Yeah, that was really sad to watch, especially the season he was having. He was probably going to be.
Yeah, he was just getting started too.
Yeah. But I don't know if you guys have seen, he has been getting fucked up.
Yeah.
Like defenses have been laying into him all season. I'm surprised he's lasted this long, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. He has
The thing about putting your new QB too early in there. They don't have a line ready.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only reason they've been in a lot of games.
But that's what I'm saying. Did they need to? Cincinnati is not in a position to compete right now.
That's why that's why you just throw him in. I mean, that's it. Like he's not. Get him reps. Get him pro ready. Get him, to the point where he's competing at the high level in the NFL. That's their thought process. It's like that's when they usually put in. Like they were talking about that with Tua. They're like, well, it seems early to put him in because you're still in the playoff hunt when they did put him in. Usually you wait on that first year QB until you're no longer in competition. Yeah. Well, the Bengals felt that way right off the get-go. They were like, we're not going to make the playoffs anyway this year. Joe Burrow, go ahead. Let's see what you got.
But you got to try to protect your number one draft pick.
You got to try to protect him, but how much do you protect him to the point where you don't play him? I mean, no. You got to see what you got in him too. You got to see if he's the guy that you think he is. So
there was the Troy Aikman and the Peyton Manning experiment where you just threw them in and let them go 2-14 and
right, and then that's what they turned into.
And then the next year they're in the Super Bowl, or
right.
So there is the problem is that's two examples I can think of. I think Ben Roethlisberger kind of had a similar rookie year. His rookie year he was in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah,
but
even the first Super Bowl Roethlisberger one, he wasn't very good. He was bad.
It was like his second year.
Yeah, and they won.
Right.
He was bad. He didn't win MVP. Like he was a hindrance.
He didn't win MVP either year.
He didn't win the second one? I thought he
Nope.
did.
Santonio Holmes won.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't he have the crazy run?
Yeah.
The catch in the end zone, that toe tap catch.
Yeah, which was. But anyway,
Hines Ward won in 2006. But man, some teams they're trying to recreate that. The problem is how many. That's two examples, but how many hundreds of others don't pan out that way?
Yeah, and they just get done. Yeah.
But when you draft a guy number one or even in the first round in general, you want to see what you got. They want they do want to see what they have, and they saw enough in practice. Apparently, I mean, I know there was no preseason, but they did see enough that they wanted to put him in and play him. Get him those reps, and honestly, even though he did get hurt, assuming everything works out with the knee injury and he's able to fully rehab, he will be better next year for having played as much as he did this year, for getting opportunities to read defenses and do all of those little
Sure.
things.
They are saying it is similar to Carson Wentz's injury, so we'll see.
Yeah. Oof. Well,
I don't know.
Carson Wentz is hot garbage, though. So I don't think
Carson Wentz has. Did you watch the game yesterday?
Yeah.
Carson Wentz has mechanical issues. I don't know if you guys really watch quarterbacks like that, but I was watching him and I'm like, he is not there. Like his body, like he's intelligent. You can see he's making the right plays. He's not like forcing the ball but like the ball is not where he wants it. And you can see that. He's making a lot of like overthrows, which is like, that's an example. That's a indication of mechanical issues. So
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about Joe Burrow's leg. So, medical technology is always improving every year, and these guys get the best in the world. So you never know, man. He might be totally fine, but
yeah,
I'm with Lonnie, dude. I don't think you come back from that. You kind of do, but you can't do what you did.
Yeah.
Well, there are plenty of examples of guys who had bad knee injuries and came back and have played great since.
I believe it's his plant leg, though. So we'll see, man. It's a very, very difficult injury for a quarterback to overcome.
Mm-hmm. So we got a question. We got our first question here. Blue Crew writes in. He's got a half PPR league. He needs 16 points to win tonight. Ooh, half PPR, 16 points. That's a tall order. And he has who's more likely to get me there? Godwin or Kupp?
Kupp.
Yeah, definitely Kupp, because he's going to get more. He's going to have more of an opportunity. The problem is he's facing the Buccaneers.
That's the problem.
But I think he almost has to force it to him.
Here's the thing. What I would look at, honestly, one of the things I would look at is who's Jalen Ramsey going to be matched up on. If Ramsey's on Godwin, I'd say Kupp. If Ramsey's going to be shadowing Mike Evans, which as a pretty tall corner, I think he probably will be. I think they'll just one-on-one him with Evans. Godwin could be the play. I don't know. Godwin, he could be in line for a lot of catches. So
I just feel like they have too many options on Tampa Bay, and 18 that's a big order.
Yeah, but if Ramsey,
it's not impossible though. I think Cooper Kupp could easily score 20 points.
That's what I'm saying. I think Cooper was the best bet for that.
Here's why. You know what? I'm going to say Godwin, and here's why. The Rams are much more likely to run it in the red zone than the Bucs are. The Bucs, Brady is going to throw it in the red zone. Not always. I mean, they still do run it. But the Rams are a run first in the red zone team. So if you get down, if they do have long sustained drives, which I feel like is how you're going to score against the Bucs, is a sustained drive, you're less likely to see Kupp get a touchdown. I think Godwin gets the touchdown more likely than Kupp, just because of the way that offense runs. So, and I'm also coming at this from I was traumatized last week by playing Jared Goff, who didn't throw any touchdowns. So take that with a grain of salt, but I say Godwin. These guys may disagree. Good question. Good luck. Hope that goes well for you, Blue Crew. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned, Blue Crew. We're gonna actually, once the fantasy season ends, we're gonna start doing some DraftKings competitions every week to keep the fantasy rolling throughout the playoffs. So stick with us. All right. Any other big news, big injuries, big things that stuck out at you? Anybody? Steve, got anything for us? What happened this week that was noteworthy? How about last night's game? Did you guys watch the Raiders and the Chiefs?
Just the end.
It was good.
It was final drives. Yeah,
really that game, the whole game, back and forth the whole way. The Raiders look legit. The Raiders are they're going to be a tough team to contend with if they make the playoffs.
But they've been a tough team for a while, man. It feels like at the end of the season, they just kind of fall apart. Like, I don't know.
I think this year they're starting to put it together. And they also have the easiest record down the stretch, whereas the Chiefs have the hardest record. So that was actually a really big win for the Chiefs. If they had split with the Raiders, if they had lost the second, because that would have been 2 times losing to the Raiders could have won that division. And it was really close. Gruden I think he's being Gruden, man. He's turning Derek Carr into the perfect quarterback. He's in his ear all the time. He's getting him onto the same page that he needs a quarterback to be on. So yeah, Derek Carr looks really good. Speaking of Derek Carr, we're going to talk about him as a waiver pickup. Let's get into that a little bit. So obviously one of the biggest key injury was Joe Burrow. Some people were playing him in fantasy. He was having really good weeks. He was putting up a lot of points. So as far as QBs to replace Burrow, if you need him, if you had him as your quarterback, if you're in a deeper league or potentially a super flex league, something like that, I think Derek Carr might be one of the best pickups going forward. He's been really consistent. He's been scoring well. Gruden's putting him in the right position. And his weapons. He's got I think all of his wide receivers are healthy now. They looked really tough to stop. They were walking it up and down the field against the Chiefs last night. So couple other quarterbacks. If you're looking to replace Burrow or just need a stream for this week, you got some bye weeks still happening. Kirk Cousins. We got a write in from Gary G-Man Gelman. He writes, hey, Gary, how's it going? Thanks for watching. He writes in JETS, Jets.
Cool.
Gary.
What's that like?
I'm sorry about your Jets, man. They have been more competitive lately, though. They've been, against not good teams, but they gave the Patriots a run for their money. And they were, they kind of made it interesting against the Chargers last week. So the Jets, I'll tell you what they do have. They have a couple guys who might be fantasy relevant going forward. So, Gary, I'm sorry about your Jets. I hope you guys get the number one pick and do something good with it. But man, oh man. It's good to hear from you, Gary, though. Thanks for watching the show. Gary's another comedian who performs around South Florida. Haven't seen you in a little bit, buddy, but it's good to have you on board. All right. So what other quarterbacks? Cousins being also Lonnie's worst quarterback pick from last week, had another good game. Cousins is a guy you might want to look at, but that depends on the COVID situation. There's a bunch of COVID list guys that just went on COVID reserve today. And Adam Thielen was one of them. Adam Thielen had a monster game, probably the reason that I won this week. So monitor the Thielen situation, but Cousins might be a good guy to play. Tannehill had another good week, another good outing. Phillip Rivers played really well this week against the Packers. He actually probably won me my other league because I had to substitute him in. And Andy Dalton's doing his best Troy Aikman impersonation. He looked pretty good. How'd you feel about Andy Dalton as the quarterback, getting another win for the Cowboys, Lonnie?
He's probably the best backup in the NFL right now. I mean, besides Jameis Winston and, Taysom Hill. I mean, who else is there really that's coming in? Joe Flacco, maybe. But Andy Dalton is probably as good as you're going to get, coming in off the bench. So I'm happy with him. I'd rather have him than DiNucci or whatever that guy's name was, Gordon or Gardner or something like that.
Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I've really, this is the second time in like the last 5 or 6 years that this has happened to the Cowboys, where we just lose our starting quarterback and basically that's it for the season. So I heard CeeDee Lamb is doing okay. He's doing well. Amari Cooper has been very disappointing this year. That's about it. Ezekiel Elliott, he's also been pretty disappointing this year.
He had a nice week for Steve this week, though.
Yeah, I'm glad Dalton was back yesterday because that helped out Zeke.
Yeah, Zeke dropped 20 this week, so
good for him. I was very, very heartbroken that he was having struggles. He's probably, arguably the best running back in the league. At least he has been over the last 4 or 5 years. Dalvin Cook, I think, is kind of making a push for that. Derrick Henry, but the top 3 running backs, Zeke has always been in that conversation, and we're now starting to get to the point where we're starting to take him a little for granted, just because he's been so good for so long, which is very, very hard to do. Yeah. In the NFL, he also came in with arguably the best offensive line in NFL history. Yes. We're starting to see the Cowboys kind of fall apart, which is what happens when you're a Cowboys fan. You get, like we assemble these teams that if basically any other team had, you would say that they're the best team that franchise has ever put together. If this was the Oakland Raiders, if the Oakland Raiders ever had, Tyron Smith and Ezekiel Elliott and Zach Martin and Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, that would be the best Oakland Raiders team that had ever existed. and then we go 9-7 and don't make the playoffs. It's just very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
I think as a Cowboys fan, as bad energy as this is, what I'm about to say, Jerry Jones just needs to die. And then once that happens, the Cowboys will be relevant again, I think, but until then, my hopes are.
Well, well wishes to Jerry Jones on this Thanksgiving week. So
They play the Redskins, right?
I don't know, but I know the Cowboys are playing in Jerry.
I think they usually play.
They always
Thanksgiving.
play. Yeah, they always play for sure. We're going to talk about
It's the Lions and the Cowboys. They always play on Thanksgiving.
I don't know who they're playing. I do know the late game is the Steelers and the Ravens. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game.
I have an off-base question. I got to ask a quick question.
Throw it.
Do you think there will be an asterisk next to any records this year, like for a COVID asterisk?
No. Just because of
Season's been pretty normal.
Yeah. There have been a couple guys who have been out, but you know what? There are always guys. Football. There's always guys going in and out. It's always a war of attrition. It's just an extra element, and I think the league has been handling it in the best possible way they can.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really affected. I mean, the only thing I would put an asterisk next to, hey, Gary, thank you for the hope. Gary, thank you for the hope. Did we give you any hope? I don't think we actually gave
about the first round draft pick.
Oh, yeah, first round draft pick. Trevor Lawrence doesn't want to play for the Jets, just to be clear. He said he will not play for the Jets, but very clear. So the only asterisk I might put in there is if a defense sets the record, like for instance, Seattle, if they set the record as the worst defense ever for points or yardage or whatever, however they qualify that, I might put an asterisk next to that because defenses have been hindered by not having that crowd noise benefit. They haven't had that home field advantage that really does help defenses out. And you've seen that this year. I think Terzo talked about it last week on the podcast. Defenses have been tough. Like everybody, the scoring's up. Defenses have not been doing as well over the general. And I know we're getting into the point of the year where the elements become more of a factor and defenses start to play better and you start seeing less high scoring games.
But we've also lost. You didn't have the preseason this year, which is big because that tackling practice is very, very important for defenses. So
that's true. Yeah.
More guys get hurt without that preseason.
Yeah, there've been a lot more injuries. Although you've seen a lot more offensive injuries, I feel like, than defensive. Maybe that's just because we pay attention to that more. But it seems like just so many hamstring injuries for offensive players. So that might be a wash as far as that goes. But good question, Steve. Good comments. Cowboys are still probably going to make the playoffs, Lonnie.
No, they're not.
You don't think they're going to? Who? All right. So who do you think?
The Redskins.
You do? Okay. Interesting.
Well, Alex Smith just played terribly, didn't they? Oh no, they still.
He did, but like who? What are we comparing them to? I mean,
yeah, that's who we're comparing them to. The Redskins.
The Cowboys are 3-7 now, right?
Everybo's 3-7 except for the Eagles are 3-6-1. Eagles are still in first place.
Everyone has 3 wins, dude. You could win out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about
that's
winning.
true.
That might be pushing it, Patel. You could sure win the division pretty easily, really. I mean,
what's their schedule?
Do you want to win the division at this point? I mean, isn't that kind of like?
I mean, I don't know, man. What I want, honestly, is I want a good high draft pick.
I've heard other Cowboys fans say that. I think that's
one thing about the Cowboys is when we have a high draft pick, we draft well. We got Zeke. We got Zach Martin, Des Bryant a couple years before that. Like
CeeDee Lamb this year. That's a great pick.
I think, he was like 17th or something like that.
Yes. Where they got CeeDee Lamb was a great value pick. Even though there's so many wide receivers they could have picked, CeeDee Lamb is looking like a really
Lamb is a
so
great.
What do you think the Cowboys need? Any prospects you see in college?
I mean, dude, I'm an old school, like if I were your GM of a football team, if we don't have an offensive line, don't talk to me. Like if we're not the best offensive line in football, you're out of the conversation. When you get to December and January, what are the commentators talking about? This offensive line is healthy. They've been playing well all season. That's always what they're talking about. And what the Cowboys have literally never had is a top 5 NFL safety. They have
safety.
never had
Yeah.
a good safety since Roy Williams. And Roy Williams honestly wasn't even a coverage guy. He was just like basically a small linebacker playing strong safety. So what the Cowboys need is they need shut down defense. You know, we probably have the best linebacking core in football, which is fine. You know, Sean Lee never can stay on the field, but what's his name? Jalen Smith,
Vander
Esch. Those guys, I mean, those guys can be the face of the defense for the next, 8 or 9 years if they can stay healthy.
You guys need secondary help bad.
Dude, I wanted Jamal Adams so badly. He wanted to come. He's from Texas. He wanted to come to Dallas. Earl Thomas also wanted to come to Dallas. They just never pull the trigger. We released Taha Clinton Dix. I was like, oh man, maybe he'll come in, and nope, he didn't do well. It's just the same shit over and over and over again. We're always giving up 38 points a game because we can't stop anybody over the top.
And your offensive line doesn't really help that much if you can't stop teams from scoring over the top. I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, Dak Prescott was putting up 42. So
I know. Don't get me wrong. The offensive line is amazing. You need that, but yeah, you got to address that secondary if you want that offensive line to actually be able to make a difference.
We passed on Eric Berry. We passed on Earl Thomas. Like, we've passed on some of the greatest safeties in the NFL over the last 10 years. And it's just like every year I'm like, safety.
But you're not the only ones. That's not specifically a Cowboys problem. You're not the only
problem one. Is it's not a sexy.
People don't know how to dress. Yeah, they want a skill position.
Right.
They don't look at this.
And that's Jerry Jones effect. He wants to make the splash, the big name, the fun, sexy pick.
And he can pick them, but he just doesn't also back it up. He does know the right
He's also made some very stupid, I don't know if you guys know, but he wanted Paxton Lynch so badly. He was going to trade up to get him. And then instead of Dak Prescott. So, he's made some really, really shitty. He also wanted Johnny Manziel, and everyone was like, no, we're not getting Johnny Manziel. So, he's had some really shitty ideas.
He's not a good GM.
No, he's not. He's a good owner.
He's good at
branding. He's good at branding. He's good at getting national TV spots. Yeah. He's good at marketing and making Dallas the fancy, flashy team. But in terms, the problem is he won a Super Bowl 25 years ago, so he can't get it out of his head.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to a couple more situations, a couple more waiver pickup situations that you might want to address. The Baltimore running back situation is something you got to monitor right now. From a good or bad standpoint, there are, I think, both J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram both went on COVID reserve. Now, just because they're on COVID reserve doesn't mean they're not going to play next Sunday or Thursday. Although the Ravens, because they play on Thursday, they're less likely to come off that list because they need X number of negative tests or whatever. So as of right now, it looks like Gus Edwards would be the go-to back if both of those guys can't get off that list by Thursday night. The problem with the Ravens running back situation all season it's been a timeshare between these three guys, and you don't ever know which one's going to get the ball. If two or even one of them's out, I think the other two become playable in fantasy, because they are run first team kind of, and they're just going to become the workhorse back for that game. The only downside is they're playing against the Steelers. So buyer beware. Even if one guy is available and he's clearly going to be the main guy, you're going against the Steelers defense. But that's a situation that's worth monitoring. Patriots running back situation. Also, we touched on it earlier. All three running backs were flex worthy, I think, this week, between James White, Damian Harris, and I want to say Burkhead. How many points did Burkhead have, Steve?
He only had 3.2 points.
Okay, so Burkhead didn't have the greatest week.
He got hurt. I think he only played until about the second or third quarter.
Okay, so that may have had something to do with it. But Patriots running backs, keep an eye on them because they're running. They're just running the ball. And they throw it to James White out of the backfield. Cam loves throwing it to James White on those little dump offs, and White can be really productive, especially in a PPR league. So those are a couple guys that might be available. Wide receiver help if you need it. Brashad Perriman for the Jets, Gary Gelman's team. He's had 2 nice weeks in a row. This week he only had like 14, but still pretty good. Got in the end zone. He's a great deep ball catcher. He's got speed, and Flacco likes to look at him. Flacco throws a nice deep ball. So as long as Flacco is still in, I think Perriman's a flex-worthy possible pickup. Tim Patrick for the Broncos. Did you guys catch that game at all? Tim Patrick is getting worked by Drew Lock. He has become one of his favorite targets. He had a big week this week. He might be available. He's not
at the tight end.
No, it's not that. That's Noah Fant. He had an okay week as well. If you need, he's not going to be available, I don't think, in any leagues. But Tim Patrick, no, he's like there. He's just like a utility receiver, but he's big, he's fast, he catches the ball well, and Drew Lock has been looking for him. So he's got a good rapport with Lock going into this week. He might be somebody. AJ Green had a pretty good game. I know what you're saying. You don't trust him, but here's why. Ryan Finley has been with the Bengals for a little bit longer. He's going to be the quarterbacks, going in through the rest of the season, and he's been there longer. He probably has a better rapport with AJ Green. He probably trusts AJ Green more than some of the younger receivers, and he also is probably going to be looking more at those possession throws. So in a PPR format, I think we might see AJ Green start to see a little bit of a pickup as opposed to like throwing the deep ball to T. Higgins. I don't know if Finley's that guy. I don't know if he has that same acumen that Joe Burrow has.
AJ Green needs to get the fuck out of Cincinnati, bro. That poor guy.
That might be true too. Emmanuel Sanders. How about Emmanuel Sanders? He's another guy. He's available in a lot of leagues right now. He had a pretty decent showing this past week. He's somebody you might want to pick up. And this is a name I mentioned a couple weeks ago, and you guys are going to be amazed by this statistic probably. Nelson Aguilar. Okay, you didn't watch the Raiders game. Nelson Aguilar has had 5 of his last 7 games. He has scored over 14 fantasy points. I think he's had 2 or 3 of them where he scored over 20. Derek Carr loves him. He gets open. He gets yak. He's an experienced guy. He's got good hands. He has been racking up fantasy points. Now, he's had 2 bad games out of 7, but 5 of them have been good, and a couple of them have been really good. He's getting hot kind of at the right time, and he's got a great rapport with Derek Carr. So Nelson Aguilar, think about putting him in your fantasy lineup as a flex. All right, let's talk about worst QBs. Last week, I picked Jake Luton. He did not. He negative 3.86.
Yeah.
Jake Luton was amazing against the Steelers. He was really something special to watch. So I got the win on that, which I really needed it because I've been behind you guys pretty bad. Vital, you picked Joe Burrow, 14 points before he got hurt. He wasn't playing terrible. Lonnie, you picked Kirk Cousins against your Cowboys. Cousins lit it up. He had like 28 points. So
there was not a lot to choose from last week.
No, that's fair. That's totally reasonable.
A lot of the bad QBs were on bye weeks.
That's true. It was a lot of bye weeks. So speaking of which, we have some bad QBs coming off of bye weeks. So let's go through. Let's do our bad QB picks for this week. I don't know. Did I even put Wentz on this list? I don't know if I put Carson Wentz on the list. As bad as he's been. Let me take a look and see who we've got. So 2 of the guys coming off bye weeks are Daniel Jones. He's been a favorite of ours going back to the beginning. See, we've had Daniel Jones in almost every single one of those picks. Hang on, let me see. Let me get the right list here. And I will do the matchups as well. Did you guys already pick? Lonnie, you're first. Do you already know who you want, or do you want to?
No. Can you tell me? I was going to look him up, but
yeah. Okay. So Ryan Finley is one of those ones who he's going to be coming in for Joe Burrow. I don't know what we're going to get from Ryan Finley, but he's going up against the Giants defense, which they've been pretty suspect. And then on the other side, Daniel Jones going up against the Bengals defense. They might both be okay because those defenses are so bad. I don't know.
Right.
I really don't know what to expect from that game. I could actually see Daniel Jones having a pretty good week, potentially. Let's see who else we have coming off buys. Week 11 was where we're at.
Is Gardner Minshew coming back, or is Luton still playing?
I think Luton is still playing. Let me see what Minshew says. Let's read on Minshew. Another one is Nick Mullins coming back. San Francisco against the Rams. I think the Rams next week. Let me double check that. Minshew, thumb, inactive week 11. He's not on injured reserve, so that's a risky pick. I don't know. Buyer beware. Minshew.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Finley.
You are okay. Nick Mullins playing against the Rams for the 49ers that's a pretty good one.
Are the Jets playing, or they said no?
Flacco?
Who are the?
So Flacco and Darnold it's still unclear who's going to play for them.
That shit again.
It's probably Flacco, but Darnold's it's a shoulder injury and they're not sure. He's not injured reserve. He's marked as out. It's not a definite thing one way or the other yet. A couple other picks we got. Let's see. So Finley, you're going to go Finley for sure, Lonnie, against the Giants?
I want to hear the rest. And
okay, let's go through the list. Let's see who else we got. Drew Lock. All right, Drew Lock is like he didn't play particularly well, but he did get the win last week. And he is going up against the Saints defense next week. The Saints defense who held Matt Ryan to negative points. Like Matt Ryan scored -4, I think, for Warren. I played against him this week. So Drew Lock, Denver. It's at home, but it's against that Saints defense. So you got the home advantage, but you're also going against the Saints D. That one I liked. Joe Flacco. We think Flacco's playing, but not definitely. But he's got Miami. Miami's got a good D. They've been looking good, but Flacco's been looking better. We already talked about Daniel Jones. Jake Luton. Yeah, once again, I don't know for sure. It doesn't say anything definitive about Luton. A couple other options. Phillip Rivers, although he had a good game, he's playing against the Titans defense. Alex Smith at Dallas. PJ Walker. I don't know. He looked pretty good. PJ Walker looked pretty good.
Who are they playing?
You got Minnesota, a bad defense. I don't think there are any other really good. Jared Goff playing against the Niners, but yeah.
I'll stick with between that and Nick Mullins.
Luton is playing against the Browns. So if he does play, he's got the Browns defense who looked good. So you think you're going to go Mullins against the Niners or Mullins against the Rams?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good pick. Vital, you got next pick. Who do you like?
I think I'll go with Luton against the Browns.
You're going to take Luton, even though he may or may not play. We don't know for sure about Minshew.
Yeah, I feel good about it, though.
If he plays based on how he's been playing, it was pretty bad. All right. So that leaves me with Finley or Locke, I think. Who did I say Locke was playing against? New Orleans?
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, fuck.
Locke against New Orleans. I think I'm going to go Locke against New Orleans.
Oh, he's about to get 8, yeah.
Yeah, I think he might. If it was in New Orleans, I'd feel better about it. But
oh, yeah, wait, yeah.
It's in Denver. So that whole Denver Mile High benefit. But yeah, as far as last week goes, I got the W on that one. All right. So, here's what I was thinking about. Oh, a couple ideas, actually. One, I was thinking, do you guys want to throw in a Thanksgiving DraftKings special?
Sure.
Do an extra one. We're not going to have a show or anything, but we'll do a little DraftKings Thursday night or Thursday all day. So we'll have 3 different games to pick from. So I'll create that DraftKings Thursday game. I'll try to remind you guys about it beforehand. What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving? Anybody doing anything? Anything fun?
Yeah, regular Thanksgiving dinner with the fam. Going to my girl's fam.
Okay.
A little bit. Or my girl's sister house. So the
all right,
4
that's
of us.
good. Girlfriend's family. What about you,
My
Lonnie?
house. And hopefully Nick shows up for a game or at least a half.
I might come up to Steve's for a little game. We'll see what's going on. I might have my neighbors over, 2 of my neighbors. So we'll see about that. Lonnie, you doing anything? You doing any?
Just family. I've been I'm making sure to stay isolated so my grandma can come over. But just the 4 of us, small family.
That's great. That's awesome. Cool. You guys cooking? Do you guys cook or are they cooking for you?
My brother cooks.
All right.
Yeah.
Any specialties that you're throwing out? Are you bringing anything with you, Vital?
Yeah, actually, man. We got some Haitian food. I'm gonna probably fry up some pork, throw down, bro.
Okay. All right. That sounds exciting. That actually sounds really good. Nice. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cook the whole traditional stuff that like my mom used to make. My mom's stuffing is like what really brings Thanksgiving home for me. I can't do box stuffing. I'm like anti. So if I do go to Steve's, I'm gonna have to bring my own stuffing with me because
Please.
he's bringing like that stovetop stuff. It just doesn't.
Oh,
cut.
let me explain my my New York Knicks shirt.
Oh yeah, I was
please.
gonna ask. Yeah,
Because I'm a diehard Miami Heat fan. I hate the New York Knicks with all of my passion. But this is actually a Tim Hardaway Jr. shirt.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
And I went to high school with him. So he's, I always like to support him wherever he goes. So
Yeah. You went to
this
high
is
school
from
with
this is from his rookie year
Yeah.
in New York. This shirt's pretty old. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you went to high school. You went to high school with him because you grew up in Miami because that's where
Yep.
Tim Hardaway played.
yeah, Tim Hardaway like grew up in my neighborhood. I used to see him around all the time. He used to drive a red Expedition.
Nice.
I would see him like in my middle school. He was like principal for a day. He would come. He was just like a part of my life.
That's really cool.
Also Bob Marley's grandchildren too. So just like people I grew up around. Some interesting people. So
Good story.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Nice. All right.
Kimbo Slice also went to my high school.
Who did?
Kimbo Slice and Jeff Bezos. So just to give you an idea of
Wow.
my high school.
Nice. Yeah, I would love to see what Kimbo Slice would do to Jeff Bezos. That would be amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Kimbo's dead.
Huh?
I think Kimbo Slice is dead.
Is he?
He
I'd
died.
still-
Yeah.
I would still love to see him come back from the dead and beat the shit
Still
out of
kick
Jeff
his ass,
Bezos.
by the way.
That'd be a highlight for sure. Yeah. Zombie Kimbo Slice beating up Jeff Bezos. That's gonna be maybe that'd be a Halloween thing at some point. All right, let's get to DraftKings. Or does anybody? So we already covered what we need tonight. I need both Bucks receivers not to break their ankles and have Cooper Kupp score over 30. I think I'm pretty safe. But as far as DraftKings goes, do you guys fill out your DraftKings, and who do we got for our picks? Who do you guys got for your
Timmy.
Who you got? TB?
Timmy.
Timmy? Timmy. Wait, Timmy.
Timmy B.
Timmy.
Tom Brady.
Tommy?
Tommy.
Tommy. Timmy. Fuck's Timmy.
I'm trying to figure it out too.
Who'd you got for Tom?
Actually, I put Cooper Kupp. I think he's gonna have a good
is your
game.
captain. Okay. All right. I picked Tommy as well. Tommy, not Timmy. Yeah, I got Brady as my QB. Who do you guys got winning tonight's game? Bucks, Rams.
Bucks.
Bucks
Okay.
win it, but I don't think they have a good game.
No,
Agreed.
Rams
Yeah.
play like shit. I never back the Rams.
I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to take the Bucks as well. But I think tonight's actually going to be a really good game to watch. I think it's going to be fun. I think the Rams are going to get after Brady a little bit. So I think he's not going to maybe have a huge game, but I think he's going to pull it out. I feel like it's going to be like it's going to look like some of his Super Bowl wins, where it's like, oh, he makes the right.
Yeah,
play
I think it's
at the right
going to be
time.
exciting to watch, but fantasy points, I don't think it's going to do well for Brady.
All I will remind you guys is that when the Rams went to the Super Bowl, it was the most boring Super Bowl I've ever seen in my entire life. So just remember that.
Listen, you're just holding grudges.
I
I
am holding a
agree,
big
but-
grudge because they beat the fucking Cowboys on a bullshit game, and the Cowboys should have been in that Super Bowl.
How
And if
is
the Cowboys
everyone
go,
always
they win that
beating
game.
you guys on bullshit? Isn't it kind of weird? Everyone's always beating you guys on bullshit.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like Dak Prescott, it was bullshit, man.
They beat the Saints on some bullshit. The Saints should have been in that Super Bowl. We actually, I felt like we got robbed. We deserved a Saints Patriots Brady Breeze Super Bowl.
That's Saints. That was that year.
Yeah, that was the year that well, I mean, unless you want to go all the way back to the first.
Oh, right, because that wasn't the NFC Championship game. The Cowboys and the Rams.
Oh, that was the Saints, and the Saints should.
Right. Yeah, the Cowboys would never have beaten the Saints.
I don't think they would have beat the Saints.
No.
So I felt like we got robbed because I wanted to see either a rematch of that Chiefs Rams game, which was amazing, best game of my life, or Brady versus Breeze, Saints Patriots, like a classic all-time great quarterback.
Right.
The
NFL wanted that shit too. I don't know if
either one of those. They wanted one of those two matchups, and we got robbed. We got the Patriots and the Rams, and it was boring as shit.
That's the one that they changed the pass interference rule because of the Saints got fucked over so badly. Yeah.
Well, they changed the review. It was the review.
Right. Because they called pass interference against the Saints.
or they didn't. No, they didn't call it.
They didn't.
The Rams.
Right.
That's what it was. It was clear. Like he hit the guy probably 2 yards before the quarter, before the
Right.
knocked him out of bounds. And it was, yeah. So yeah, we got robbed on that Super Bowl. I mean, I'm okay with it. The Patriots won, but it was boring as fuck. So yeah, it could be another one of those games tonight. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Rams defense is looking sharp. Okay, cool. So we're going to do a Thursday DraftKings that count it towards the competition, right? We'll do it'll be a free one. We'll throw it out there and make it fun. Something to watch for that day. And we got our worst QB picks in. Mullins, Luton, and Locke. Oh, that is a bad lineup of QBs. It's going to be great to watch.
Rather have Kaepernick.
I would definitely rather have Kaepernick than any one of those guys this week, for sure. All right. Any comedy shows you guys got coming up? Any events going on? Anything coming down the line?
No.
Big, nothing major. Steve, I did a show with Steve we did Saturday night. We did the
American
Legion show with Dom.
How was it? I heard it was fun.
I did their first show, yeah.
It was pretty fun. There was not a whole lot of people there that were there to see comedy specifically. But
did they cook? Usually they throw down. They had a bunch of food.
It was actually a funeral outside. On our way in. And it was a lot of people running around and screaming at a funeral, and they're having it in the other room.
It was a lively funeral ending shortly before our comedy show. But I asked, actually, that was the beginning of my set. I was like, is there chili? What's the chili situation going to be right now? Because somebody told me, I forgot it was you, Vital. You told me about the chili, and there was no chili. They were like, no, you're not getting chili. You didn't deserve it tonight. That was before my set. No, but it was fun. They already knew. They already knew. No, it was a pretty good time. There were a handful of people there, a couple of good comics dropped in and did little spots. But yeah, hopefully that'll be a show that we can see pick up a little bit more going forward. And Dom said he might be doing an open mic there at some point too. So there's a nice, pretty nice room as far as that goes.
The people were very welcoming.
Yeah. They were not disappointed that we were. So that was fun. And Dom, it's always great to see Dom doing his thing. I might be going up to do a show with Casey Peruski on Saturday night.
Where at?
Fort Myers?
Maybe in Fort Myers at the Sunrise Theater. The show is scheduled, but he said it might be getting canceled. So he asked me about it last week if I could come up on Saturday night. And I said yes, because I don't have anything going on. But it's not for sure. So we'll see what happens with that. There's a lot of stuff that's been getting shut down. Oh, also I have a Tuesday night. I'm hosting an open mic on Tuesday night, tomorrow night, in Pompano Beach, Awana Cava Lounge in Pompano Beach on Atlantic Ave. If you guys want to swing by, tell some jokes, you're welcome to come check it out. Hopefully I'll have a few people show up for that. And I think that's all I have coming up.
I'm going to an all Spanish show at Miami Improv tomorrow night.
There you go. So if you speak Spanish and you want to see Steve,
Who's doing that, Steve?
I don't know. I'm just going to it because my girlfriend wants me to go see what a Spanish show is like. I don't speak any Spanish, so.
But your girlfriend does, I assume.
I'm sorry?
Your girlfriend speaks Spanish.
Yes. So.
But you don't know who the comics are?
I have no idea. I won't know who they are, what they're saying.
There's a whole Spanish comedy scene that they don't overlap with us at all. There's
there's a little overlap, but I know what you mean. They have their whole subsection. Like
they don't ever come to our mics really. Like we don't go to theirs. Like so, and they get crowds. Like it's a pretty big market. And
there's a few people that speak Spanish in Miami.
Yeah.
A few.
There's a few. There's definitely a few.
So she's interested, and I'm interested because it's a whole nother world, and I want to see what that world is like.
Sure.
I'm really curious to hear about it. Yeah, I can't wait to hear the stories. Speaking of Dom Nessie, he's going to be our guest next week on the Fantasy Football Podcast. So we'll get to actually talk to Dom about how his season's going and whatever other stories he's got coming our way. So something to look forward to for next week. And I think that's about it. I'm excited about the game tonight. It's going to be a good one. So for anybody who's watching, thank you guys for writing in. Blue Crew and Gary G-Man Gelman, thank you guys for writing in. And thank you for watching. Once again, you can catch us on, we actually had a lot of people listen to the podcast this past week on Apple, Google, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and a number of other sites. It's a pretty nice napkin, Lonnie. So
Thank you.
if you guys are watching, if you guys are listening, thank you. Keep watching, keep listening. Tell your friends, tell your family. And yeah, good luck out there. You guys who are trying to make the playoffs, making that last final playoff push, good luck getting into the playoffs. If you're at risk of having a last place penalty like I am and Vital, make those moves. Find some way to push yourself over the top.
I'm not at risk. Lonnie and Steve are losing. Sorry, guys.
I hope that's not true. I hope you guys beat the shit out of Vital.
I'm going to apologize in advance.
Beat Vital. Let me get in the playoffs. I might have a chance. Maybe McCaffrey will be back. I don't know. That was not in the waiver report this week. All right. We'll see you guys next Monday. Watch us live on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. I post stupid memes and funny shit. And also clips. I just started an Instagram account for us as well. So check us out on Instagram. I'll be posting funny clips from all of our past podcasts and post these little 1-minute videos of the funniest, stupidest things that we've done on this podcast. So that's about it. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you guys for joining me. We'll see you guys next week, and enjoy your Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Best holiday.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Stay safe.
Everybody.